Hello, dear ones. How are you this evening? I'm very, very pleased to be connecting with all of you this evening. I know I haven't done a video in about a week, but I think you will appreciate this very simple message that came through for me yesterday. And my intention with this video is to help repurpose your energy, to help recalibrate you. All right, so we're going to give it one more minute, and then we're going to get the party started. Oh, I love you too. Thank you. Okay. Yes, we're going to repurpose your energy tonight. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that I received that I feel is very pertinent right now. I will be in Bali soon. Thank you. Yes, Bali's been calling. The Andromedans direct contact video was amazing. Okay, good. Thank you for the donation, by the way. Joyce, I appreciate you. All right, so let's get into it. There's a very strong call right now to really try to identify. This is about pinpointing what it is in your life at this time that's causing your energy to feel murky or muddy, okay? So whenever you get tangled up with people emotionally, this can be a recipe for disaster. Because although you may have the tools to consciously navigate relationships, the people that you align with may not have those tools. So I wanted to give you a very simple example. Say that you start calling somebody every day. They're going to start getting accustomed to that. And what's going to happen when you stop calling them or when you decide to take a few days off? It's not going to go over too well, yes? And that's because when you decide to unify your energy field with someone else's, the energies within your field start to commingle. I always see it as like it opens up a portal between both of you. That's why when you go through a breakup, it takes a while to get over it because that portal is deactivating, and it takes a while for that portal to deactivate because so many energies were exchanged. And in many regards, you could say that your energies blended or interlaced, and then it takes a while to undo that. It takes a while. All right. Now, as you guys know, I always entreat you to live as a dot, because when you live as a dot, you're untethered. You are not having to report to people. You don't have to answer to people. To me, living as a dot happened a few years ago. I decided I'm not going to plan anything anymore. I'm not going to put anything in my schedule because I got a very clear download that whenever you place things in your future, you open up those timelines. Okay, so from a higher perspective, you're still controlling your life. You're still trying to control everything. So when you pencil things in to your schedule, those timelines start to communicate with you and interact with you in this now moment. But that can sometimes skew your ability to source information in unadulterated form. In other words, if you know that you and I are going to have dinner in a week from now, every time I think about you, that's going to send a pulse out to you. Or every time you think of me, I'm going to think about you. So what happens is it's a constant bombardment on a psychic level. So at first, it started as an experiment for me. I was like, I'm going to do this for a month. I'm not going to plan anything anymore. I'm not going to organize anything anymore. I'm just going to be the surfer who surfs the waves of the now. And whatever wants to show up, if it's a vibrational match, if it's in vibrational accord with what I'm currently feeling, we're going to go for it. And this became my way of living. It's kind of like I'm a monk, except that I'm a monk in Hollywood. I'm living as a monk in Hollywood. And that's not to suggest that I would never ever plan anything anymore. But it's truly a natural way of living. It allows us to decontaminate our vibratory fields and to really be in touch with our own potential timelines that are not influenced by others. And believe me when I tell you, you have an assembly of guides and angels that want to work with you. They want to be with you all day long, 24/7, around the clock, to help you measure up to your full potential. So if you're constantly filling up your schedule, and this isn't only about schedules, I'll get to that in a minute. It's really about learning how to live in full connection, in full communion with your higher self, with your guides, with this infinite intelligence, this universal intelligence, all day long. And then it becomes second nature to you to only follow the resonance of your highest excitement, of your highest joy. And nothing about it is forced. It's very organic. It's an organic way of living. And we've gotten disconnected from that over the years. So during quarantine, my friends, we started reaching out to people more. All right. And that's fantastic. It was a way for us to reestablish connections. It was a way for us to open up our hearts again and build fellowship with people. But whenever you start to feed that, meaning that you start to call people on a daily basis, it can end up working against you. And the reason for this is because people start to have expectations. And people can be pretty dangerous. And I don't mean dangerous in a way where like, oh, I'm scared of humans. It's mostly that there are energies in the matrix that want to keep you embedded in the matrix. They want to keep you entrenched in that older reality. All right. And people are hosts for these energies. So when you get someone accustomed to having them or you call you every day, then you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for a disappointment. You're setting yourself up for something that's going to fly off the rails, like a huge argument or a huge fight. So I wanted to come on today and remind you of how powerful you are when you are riding solo. Have you ever noticed that whenever you're living in this solitary state, this state where you don't feel obliged to do anything, where you're really just doing what brings you joy, that people start to flock to you? That's because your magnetic resonance starts to increase. It's because you don't have critters on you. You don't have all these energies that are like these little bugs crawling all over you. Another presentation is your aura starts to glow more. It starts to glow more because it's not tainted by other people's energies. And people can stain us sometimes. We don't want to blame it on people because we allow it. But people's energies, they can stain on you. They get stained or they get imprinted within you. All right. And sometimes we think that there's something wrong with us for wanting to live this way, or we think there's something wrong with us with just kind of being in our own flow. And there isn't, but people will try to guilt you. People will try to make you feel bad for doing what's right for you. They will. That's because they're used to having people serve their ego rather than their higher self. And the higher self doesn't live within time. The ego does. The higher self lives outside of time. So the higher self will always encourage everyone to be in sync with it, meaning to live outside of time, meaning to not fill your schedule with all these things. That's how you can really start to vibrate yourself into the higher timelines. That's how you can start to retrieve multidimensional information, which will then enhance your quality of life. It really will. So the ego lives within time. So the ego likes to be distracted. It likes to be occupied with all of these things, with all the riffraff, with all the mayhem, because it doesn't know who it is without that, meaning that it feeds off of the material plane of existence. It feeds on those lower emotions of codependency to prevent you from connecting to your higher self. So how can you be fully aligned with your higher self? By stopping to live within time. You have to start moving beyond the confines of this linear time-space continuum. Okay? And start to dwell within a space of no time. So the main message I got from the guys, right, was we need you to get back to you. We need you to start undoing everything that you've been doing during this quarantine. Because if you don't do that, if you're not willing to debunk your own reality, if you're not willing to expose what you can't see, right, then you're only going to keep covering up the very stuff that keeps you in 3D, the very stuff that keeps you anchored in that lower version of reality that's filled with codependency, fear, shame, blame, guilt. So your job is to be willing to shine a light on the dark corners in your room. All right, what have I been doing to prevent myself from vibrating higher? What habits have I developed which are disabling me from seeing what maybe needs to be shown to me, that I've been covering up because I'm afraid of seeing what wants to be shown, what wants to be revealed? So I want you to remind yourself of how powerful you were when you were unapologetic. Okay, and I know this happened to me too. Up to about 8 months ago, I only lived as a dot. It didn't matter what it was me and my universe. No one else was in my bubble. And I wasn't trying to ice people out. I wasn't trying to be cold or to be disrespectful to anyone. I just felt so right and so in my element, marching to my own drum. I really did. It just felt right. You know when something feels right. And then when quarantine hit, I started getting pummeled, one wave after the next, injury. All these things started happening to me, and I felt vulnerable, right? And I started reaching out to people more, and it was beautiful. It was heart-opening to do that. But I had to go through all of that to come back to what I already knew, which was that people start to expect too much. You give them a finger, they want the whole hand. Okay? So the guide said to me this right before I jumped on. This is not about canceling people. We don't want to be part of the cancel culture. I'm canceling you, right? What we want to do, though, is cancel energies. We want to cancel energies which are our own monsters that we've created through lack, right? I'm alone, so I need to call you. That's lack. I'm bored, so I want to hang out with you. That's lack. Okay? All of these different energies are lack-based. So you end up blending into your coloring this darker, smoky, muddy energy, which disallows you from seeing into the higher timelines. It disallows you from seeing and achieving your full potential. It really does. So I did this too. I did this too this year. 2020, I'm telling you, I've been telling my best friend Mikey, bro, I'm just trying to get back to what I was like 8 months ago. That's all I'm trying to do, right? But it's like alcohol. If you overdrink, The next day, you're going to have a hangover. If you entangle yourself with certain people, then it's going to take you a while to reverse or to undo the monster that you created. Okay? So make sure not to get yourself deep in a hole. And I saw very vividly yesterday that a lot of us have gotten ourselves deep into a hole and we need to crawl out of it. We need to start making our way out of this hole and returning to the light that we are. So if you can imagine that you're at the bottom of an abyss or at the bottom of a dark hole and you can see the sunlight, and that sun represents your higher self. Your higher self is sending you a rope. It's throwing a rope all the way down into the bottom of the hole and saying, come back to us because we have a plan for you. And as long as you're distracted and as long as you're tangled up with people, your energy is being obscured, your energy is getting stained, and you're not able to amount to what it is that you set out to amount to in this life. Okay, so you have this plan, it's a divine plan, and the universe is trying to orchestrate all these things for you. And it is imperative that you start to cleanse out, to scrub yourself clean of all of these energies that are weighing you down. And the key is to not guilt yourself or blame yourself for having done so. Like, I'm not going to fault myself for having gone down this rabbit hole the last 8 months. I wanted to do it. I wanted to feel what it's like to reopen myself to people after having been a dot for like 2-3 years. I wanted to feel what it was like to open my heart back up and say yes to everyone. My phone rings, yes. You want to go for coffee? Yes. I became a yes man, only to reaffirm and reconfirm what I already knew, which was what drove me to become a dot in the first place, right? And it's okay. I'm not going to fault myself because we're explorers. We are cosmic explorers, and we're exploring frequency. That's all we're doing. So you try something, right? You try on a pair of jeans, you go, great. I wore that pair of jeans. Now let me try another pair of jeans. But when you put on that other pair of jeans, you might realize that the first pair of jeans was more fitting for you. That was more in line with your true frequency. That was your pocket. So we're being asked right now to get back into our pockets, to be a dot again. And being a dot is my thing. If you want to be a dot, I'm happy. Go run with it, right? That's my thing. I'm a dot. I don't want to be bothered. I just want to do my own thing in this world. That's all. I do me. I do me, right? And a lot of people have said to me, I don't understand why you don't collaborate with us. I don't understand why you don't do this, why you don't do that, why you don't want to see us, blah, blah, blah. It's because I have so many invisible friends, angelic friends, and I love what we're doing on my mission. I love it, and I wouldn't change it for anything. And the proof is in the pudding. You know, I've never once bought followers. I've never once tried to sell packages to people. That's not how I roll. I'm very much a guy who marches to my own drum. And I love seeing realities build through blood, sweat, and tears, but really not through effort, but rather aligning with your true frequency, with your authentic self, and believing in your mission. So, why did I do this? Why did I reopen my heart? And it's not that my heart was closed. That's the thing. I'm about to get into that in a minute. My heart was never closed, you see. There were people in my life who were trying to convince me, Phil, you need to stop living as a dot. You're never available. You're never this. And I used to tell them, I am available. And if our now moments happen to match up, great. We're going to see each other. But I'm all about the now moment. So at some level, I must have believed them that maybe I was being distant or maybe I had too many boundaries. I didn't feel like I had boundaries. So what I did was I reopened myself to people. I said yes to everyone. And then I realized, wait a second. And my guide said this to me, Phil, you were never cold. You just live an unconventional life and a lot of people won't get it. A lot of people will not understand how you live. And that's okay. So now I'm determined to be this dot again. I am. You know, and there's a show right now called Nurse Ratched. I don't know if you guys saw it on Netflix, but I got this really cool insight that she had these different things that she wanted to accomplish in mind, and people were really mean to her. Like there was another nurse on that show that was really mean to her, but then she had like a soft spot for her, and she started making exceptions and giving her the benefit of the doubt. And all those people on that show screwed her over. So every time she would open herself up again and give people the benefit of the doubt, those people would screw her over. That's because humans can have energies working through them that are like vultures. They just want to, or leeches, they just want to suck your blood. They just want to suck your blood. So we don't want to blame people. We want to look at ourselves and ask ourselves why it is that we get ourselves in these hot messes. Why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we pour from an empty cup? Right? You always want to make sure you give from the overspill. Never give if you want to get back to you, if you want to recharge your spiritual batteries. So the first message was, and there's two messages here. First message, October is about cutting a lot of cords. You have to cut a lot of cords in October. This is about getting back to your unapologetic self. And by cutting cords, I don't mean cutting people out. I mean cutting your own lack out. Like what drives you to call someone? Are you doing it because you're bored? Then that's probably not the right motivation. That's probably not the right motive. Why is it that you're wanting to be in a relationship? Is it because you're lonely? Because when you're lonely, you start thinking, you don't think straight. You're like, oh, I think I'm interested in this one, and I'm also interested in that other person, and I'm also interested in that other person. The reason that's the case, right? Wow, we have 1,000 people in the house. The reason that's the case is because you're foggy. You can't see straight, right? There's like this dark cloud around you. That's what's the cloud? Nebulous? I can't remember. But there are these different cloud formations, right? That cloud was formed through your own lack. That cloud was formed through your own lack. I'm lonely, and now I can't think straight. I'm lonely, and I like this person, and I like that person too, and I like anyone who likes me. That happens all the time. You like anybody who likes you because you're so disconnected from your empowered self that you accept anything. So right now, the guides are asking you, it's time to get back to your unapologetic self. The one who isn't concerned about what people think of you. The one who decides that you're going to blaze your own trails. And even if people don't get it, that's okay. Because you're making moves and you're making waves. All right? So we don't want to cancel people. We want to cancel the energies. The energies. And this is the other message I got for you guys, for myself actually, was don't be forceful about it, right? Like don't be too blatant, like I can't talk to you anymore. Don't do that. Let the universe decontaminate your field for you, right? Let it flush out what doesn't need to be there anymore on its own. On its own. So for instance, if you don't want to call this friend today, don't call them. That's it. Simple. Don't give an explanation. Don't give a justification. Just don't call them. Start honoring what your higher self wants for you, which is really just to vibrate you into that higher stance so that you can start creating magic. All right, so we're not canceling people, we're canceling energies this month. So take out your invisible scissors and start cutting. Cut all the cords that are associated to energies that are 3D, that want to keep you entrenched in the 3D matrix. All right? There are energies out there. You can call them parasites. You can call them leeches. You can call them demons. You can call them what you want. They don't want you. They don't want you to actualize your divine potential. They don't. So what they're going to do is they're going to start to use people as hosts to interrupt your processes. Okay? They're going to try to interrupt your process of everything you were achieving. And then you made yourself feel bad for achieving so much that you started regressing. All right. So we don't backpedal, we keep moving forward. Um, Message number 2, very much in line with the first message. Message number 2, you guys, the people who follow me here, you are intuitive enough. I know this for a fact. The star seeds, the way showers, the light workers, the grid workers, the gatekeepers, you guys are in tune enough to be able to scan people in your life and then dig up dirt. Like, there are things you just know, right? Like, I can scan into someone's field right now and be like, I think they low-key are jealous of me. And then I can scan someone else's field and be like, no, they love me unconditionally. They support me. And I know you guys have that spidey sense too. You have this uncanny ability to be able to tap into someone's field and derive information that you often turn a blind eye to. Why do you turn a blind eye to it? Because your capacity to love is immeasurable. So you have such a golden heart that you're so forgiving, and you give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and you still let them be in your life. And the guides aren't suggesting to get rid of them. What they're saying is meet them where they're meeting you. So you don't want to cancel them altogether, okay? What you want to do is give in accordance to what you get, and to get in accordance to what you give. You're always going to get in accordance to what you give, and people will get in accordance to what they give. So you have to start mimicking the universe. That's just coming to me now. You have to start mimicking the universe. You don't cancel people, but really ask yourself, why do I keep the company of people who low-key are jealous of me? Why do I keep the company of people who low-key dislike me? And I have a lot of people like that in my life. A lot of people who will never admittedly say to me, Phil, I don't like you. I don't like your face. I love you. I don't really like your face. Your voice bothers me. I know there are people like that in my life. I know it. And so often I feel like I'm tiptoeing around people. So I don't talk about my work. I don't talk about my Instagram. I don't talk about myself. There's nothing I can talk about. Because if I talk about my work, then they're going to feel like they're not killing it enough. They're not making enough money, or they're not successful. If I'm with them on the street and someone stops me, oh my God, Phil, I follow your work, I can feel their jealousy right away. So I don't talk about that. They're like, oh my God, someone just stopped you. I'm like, and I act like it didn't happen. I ignore it. You know what I mean? That's because there are a lot of people in my life that, and I've used this metaphor before, and I think it's a genius metaphor. The crossword puzzle, when you have a crossword puzzle, there are blacked out squares. There are a lot of people in your life, or in my life, or in our lives, that have too many black squares. We can be friends as long as you don't talk about politics. We can be friends as long as you don't talk about your work. They'll never say this to you. They're never going to verbalize it, but you can feel it. You can feel it. You really can. It's like your spidey sense kicks in and you're like, this person, they're not really on my side. Like they say they are, but they're like a friend of me. And I have to admit that my guides called me a homeless shelter today. They're like, Phil, you're not a homeless shelter. You need to stop acting like a homeless shelter. You keep letting people into your life, okay? And you already know things about them and you let it slide. And it's true. I let it slide because I love people so much. And I choose to look at their soul. I choose to see their soul rather than their human aspects. Because I know deep down that they're not those human aspects. I know they're so much grander than that. But the thing is, right, and this is what my guide said to me, they said that energy that's in the fold, that energy that's in the sauce, right? That energy of the haters or the people who low-key dislike you or low-key are jealous of you, that's still yours. You're still responsible for that because it's affecting you at some level. It's like not being a dot. When you have a plan with someone, it's affecting you at some level. You think about it and you get so tired thinking about it, you want to cancel last minute, right? That's because it exhausted you psychically. It exhausted you psychically. So by the time the meeting happens, you're like, I don't want to go anymore. That's because you've been getting barraged with all this information the whole time. So my guide said to me, we need you to pull back. We need you to get back to you. And if there are any frequencies in the mix of the people who are in your life, you need to start honoring your intuition. So not to cancel them, but to go, this person's more of like a once a month coffee. That's it. You know what I mean? And I'll share with you guys a personal story really quickly. When I was living as a dot, unwaveringly so, I think it was for 3 years. And if anything, I'm going to appreciate living as a dot a lot more now, because there's no higher existence than being in constant communion with your spirit and going, I feel like doing this right now. I feel like doing this right now. Now I feel like doing this. To me, there's no other way to live. And I feel like that's how a lot of people are going to start to co-create as well. Hey, are you available in 5 minutes? Yep, let's go. It's going to be very organic, you know? But personal story. About a year ago, when I was living as a dot, I kept getting emails from people in the spiritual community like, yo, we should link up. We should be friends, blah, blah, blah. And there were a couple people where I was like, red flag. I already know. I can see the whole thing playing out, right? And I was like, I'm going to make an exception. And when quarantine hit, I started making exceptions. And just about a week or 2 weeks ago, one of these people that I let into my life, they were like, brother, I feel like when you share your downloads with me, there's no love. There's no love. And it's like, yeah, because when I channel information, there's no emotions. It just is what it is. And you could take it or leave it. But I am love. I am love. I don't need to give you love because I am love. And if you ask me for a message from your guides, that information is going to come through objectively. It's not going to be, sugar-coaty and let me give you a warm blanket. It's going to be what it is. It's objective information. I'm tapping into your field, right? And I've been calling myself the cosmic medium. That came to me this week. I was having a conversation with my guides. My friend Shaman Jurek doesn't like it, but I love it. I feel like it's so fitting for me. I was talking to my guys this week and I was like, if I was to go on a radio show or like a TV show, what am I? Because I don't love the word teacher. I feel like I'm a student. And if people see me as a teacher, great. But I don't like saying that I'm a teacher because it feels like I'm better than people. And my guys were like, you're the cosmic medium, duh. Like they literally were like, it's so obvious, you are the cosmic medium. They're like, you're not channeling dead people. You're bringing through cosmic guides, quantum information to help bridge people into that next aspect of who they are, into that next best version of who they are. And I'm like, oh my God, that is me. I am the cosmic medium. I love it. It's so me. It's so me. And some people might say like, it's too fringy. It's too out there. But one thing I can tell you about me, Feel Good, is I can make anything mainstream because I own it. I own it. So I can popularize anything, and I love the cosmic medium. I'm basically just helping you build your own staircase, or the guides or the staircase to your higher self. And we bring through the information that we need to bring through. So my message for you tonight is pay attention to what you're still allowing in your life. What are you still allowing in your life? Because at some level, it is affecting you negatively. It is. It is, my friends, undoubtedly so. If you are still calling someone every day or every week who low-key will never admit this, but they low-key dislike you, or they have that frenemy vibe, you need to check yourself. Like, why are you allowing that in? Because that energy is taking up space in your field. So whatever's taking up place needs to be replaced. Whatever's taking up space needs to be replaced with something of a loving nature, of an uplifting nature, of a supportive nature. Because otherwise you're doing yourself a disservice. You're allowing third-dimensional parasites, not people, I'm talking about the energies, the unconscious is occupied by lower vibrational entities. So when someone is unconscious or codependent or has unhealthy expectations, then they're occupied by lower vibrational entities. Those entities, they're going to do everything they can to stop you from up-leveling yourself to that highest version of who you are. So you can try to convince yourself all you want that those lower energies that you allow, that you let slide in, aren't affecting you, but they are. Okay? Because they're lingering in your field. They're like hovering in your field. And I want you to reaffirm and reinforce within yourself that you are not broken. You are whole. I will never forget. I was dating someone 3 years ago, and it was their birthday, and we had celebrated it. And then they told me that a friend was going to take them out to a spa. Okay? Me and this person were madly in love, by the way, madly in love. We still love each other, but in the ethers, right? And I remember when after the spa, after they went to the spa, I was at home meditating, and I started getting like disturbed by all these visions. And the vision I got was they were naked with that person at the spa. They were naked with them in the same room. So I didn't say anything. I just kind of sat with the information. I tend to do that a lot. So the cosmic medium isn't locked in yet. I'm still sitting with it, but I love it. And it's been a week and I still love it. But I usually let things kind of simmer or marinate, okay? Because I never want to act on ego. And you'll always know if it's not your ego if you're not looking for it. Meaning you'll always know it's spirit if you're not looking for it. It just keeps hounding you. You know what I mean? So for a few days, I didn't say anything. And I was seeing this person every night. But my guides wouldn't leave me alone. They were like, this happened, this happened, this happened. And it was a clear, vivid vision. And I ended up confronting them. And I said, hey, just, I just want to ask you, did you happen to be naked with this person at the spa? And they're like, yeah, we were in the same hot tub. And I was like, okay, why didn't you check in with me? Why didn't you ask me if I was okay with that? Because I'm very sensitive. And I didn't like that at all. Because I want to be with someone who understands my spirit and understands that at a telepathic level, like Phil would not approve. Phil wouldn't authorize this. You know what I mean? And if anything, I'd have more respect for someone who says, hey, I'm going to do this tonight, but don't be afraid or don't be worried. Nothing's going to happen. I'm like, okay, cool. At least they're being honest. And I broke up with that person that night. I broke up. And my guide said to me, Phil, there was never anything wrong with you. You just got tangled up with a person who didn't have the utmost integrity that you're looking for. And so what they showed me was that this person still had dirt on them. And when I decided to merge my field with their field, their dirt became mine. Okay, it became mine. So you need to be vigilant right now and ask yourself who it is that you're forming alliances with, who it is that you let in your life or that you allow in your life that has that muck or that gunk, and can you do damage control? Can you do damage control? Can you say, because they have this, I'm not going to intertwine myself too much. I'm going to hang out with their light, meaning I'm going to hang out with the part of them that I love. But I'm still going to unconditionally love them. I just don't want that energy on me. I don't want that to rub off on me. Okay, so you're not canceling them. And the problem with society right now is that everyone's canceling each other left and right. You're not canceling them. You're accepting them as they are. But you pick and choose the energies that you want to collaborate with that day. All right. I have a lot of friends who are constantly showing off their house or whatever. It's very narcissistic. I still love them, but I don't want to be around that energy all the time. So you have to choose what category your friends belong in. Like, is this a coffee friend? Is this a friend that I can call every day? And if I decide to take a month off, they're not going to get mad at me. So we really need to reassess our lives right now and cleanse out all of the energies that are bogging you down, that you're not even aware are bogging you down. So I love you guys so much. And I thank you for the donations. Thank you, Zorina. I really appreciate you. But yeah, October is all about scrubbing ourselves clean. It's about flushing out the system. And really allowing your aura to glow again, to shine brightly, just like a diamond. And there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that you might have given permission to certain energies to weasel their way into your field and then stain you. And it's time to get that stain removal and to get rid of those stains and get back to the unapologetic self. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do so. I love you guys. And if you would like to make a contribution, I really appreciate it. My link is feelgoodlife.com/donate. feelgoodlife.com/donate. I will attach a link below. And I will see you in another version of the Now. Much love.